it does a lot of damage to the label racism, but you can't treat this person the same way you would treat somebody else because of their colour or of their race. There's little things that started to frustrate people. Monarchy and everything is so toxic and so terrible, etc. But you consistently still want to keep your titles and want your kids to be referred to as not only prince and princesses, but royal highnesses. It's not personal, it's protocol. And they are definitely in some situations damned if they do and damned if they don't. Hey guys, so today's video, it's going to be a controversial one, and I apologise if you don't like my opinions, and if you don't, I genuinely hope that we can have a conversation in the comments below as to why we disagree, and maybe we can each understand each other better. That's all I want from this video, because genuinely I'm just fucking frustrated by the shit I'm seeing over like news outlets and all over Twitter. I mean, Twitter's toxic as fuck anyway. I want to talk about every single person who disagrees or dislikes Meghan being labelled as a racist. Now, I know that's a very big statement, but it's how I genuinely feel. I feel like a lot of people now don't think they can comment their opinion about the Meghan Harry drama, etc., because they think they're just simply going to be labelled as a racist. I think it does a lot of damage to the label racism by determining that someone cannot dislike someone or disagree with someone who is of a different colour or ethnicity. I think all that does is continue to split us apart. Because all it does is say that you can't treat this person the same way you would treat somebody else because of their colour or of their race. Is that not just racism? So this video is the reasons why I personally don't like Meghan Markle. I also don't like Prince Harry, I'll be honest. I'm getting really, really sick of the brattish behaviour from both of them. The entitlement and the narcissism is driving me up the fucking wall. And the fact that everyone still kisses their ass, especially people who have called other people out for being narcissistic and entitled, like, it's just so fucking frustrating. I think I'm allowed to not like someone because they are fucking narcissistic, in my opinion. I don't like, for example, Gabby Hanna, because I find her very entitled, narcissistic. In some ways, it's very fucking similar to why I don't like Meghan and Harry. And I think I'm allowed to not fucking like these people because of my personal preference. So anyway, let's start at the beginning. Firstly, I actually really liked Meghan initially. I used to watch Suits all the fucking time. I've actually binged that series at least 3 fucking times.
That is such bullshit! That's not what you meant, and you know it.
I am not ready to lose you. Not today.
Not the, like, newest one with, what's her name, Catherine Heigl or something. I still haven't fucking finished the newest one, because I feel like I actually thought that Mike and Meghan and Harvey, why am I struggling with names? I feel like those three kind of made the series, especially Harvey and Mike. So when Meghan became engaged to Harry, and I saw, is it Patrick J. Adams? I want to say, basically her on-screen husband in Suits. When I saw him there, I was like, yay, Suits. I was so excited, and I was actually helping my aunt out all that weekend, and we stopped and started watching the whole of the wedding, and we were really, really supportive of them as a couple. So consistently having the UK branded as we've always been anti Meghan and Harry is complete fucking bullshit. I'm sure there was definitely some, but the majority of people, as far as I'm aware anyway, were super, super pro Harry and Meghan. It's just when there was little things that started to started to frustrate people. So for example, Kate Middleton, who has been a royal for a really fucking long time, especially compared to Meghan. Kate, William's wife, consistently wears affordable clothing brands, and that shows that she's more down to earth, she's not with him for the money. Like, that's the sort of mentality people get into around something as simplistic as her wearing a Marks and Spencer's fucking dress or coat or something like that. Does she always? No. But that her regular dresses and coats and stuff like that is like 70%, I would say, more affordable. Whereas Meghan was wearing like Dior and just all of these sort of like fashion high brands that were really expensive. It started giving the people the mentality of she's with him for the money. That's kind of, I think, where this started, simply around money. It also became apparent that the house that they were given in, I want to say Sussex, because they became the Dutch and Duchess of Sussex, right? So you'd expect it's Sussex. But they were given a house with a shitload of fucking land, and I can't remember, I think they might have rejected it or they lived there for a short period of time. I can't remember which one it was. I don't follow it this fucking close. Basically, they turned around and said that that wasn't good enough. So again, it just seemed very entitled, brattish. It started to appear that they weren't appreciating literally the handouts they were being given. And then, of course, they broke away from the royal family. From Meghan's words, it was because there was a lot of issues with race.
And if a member of his family will comfortably say, we've all had to deal with things that are rude and racist are not the same.
When this came out, by the way, I was very supportive of Meghan's experience. I thought if that is her experience, that's gross. 100% gross. One thing I will say is I'm never going to diminish someone's experience, especially as a person of colour. I don't think that's my place. They turned around in that interview with Oprah and also said that they wanted a private life, that they didn't think it was fair that their son was going to be subjected to all of this media that they were having to deal with. I completely understand and I can agree with that, okay? What I don't understand is that if they didn't want anything to do with the monarchy because of their experience, which is valid, then why do they continue to still keep their Dutch and Duchess? They still consistently make demands that they want their son and daughter to be prince and princesses. And not just prince and princesses, but HRHs. This is how much I didn't even fucking know about the monarchy. I didn't even know what HRH meant. I'm terrible with abbreviations anyway, but when I found out, I was like, oh yeah, obviously. They wanted them referred to as HRH, which is His or Her Royal Highness. I literally had to remind myself by looking it up because I am so bad with abbreviations. They wanted them referred to as royal, which you only get if you're working royal. So because their parents, these kids, Archie and Elliot, because Harry and Meghan are not working royals, they chose not to be working royals. They chose this, and like I said, I understand why they chose the life they chose, but then you can't turn around and say and demand that you want them to be referred as prince and princess. You want them to be royal highnesses. Like, you need to pick a fucking lane. You need to understand that you can't have it both ways. Someone explained it really, really well. If you leave a job that you used to get a discount for example, if you used to work for, I don't know, River Island, for instance, which is a big clothing brand, you used to get a 20% discount on all the clothes. When you leave that fucking company, you don't then still get to have the discount. So that's the first thing that really fucking frustrated people. That, well, hang on a minute, you're saying that this monarchy and everything is so toxic and so terrible, etc., but you consistently still want to keep your titles and want your kids to be referred to as not only prince and princesses, but royal highnesses. What? It's so contradictory, and that's what a lot of people, including me, as you can probably tell, get really frustrated with. Because if they just said, you know what, we don't like the royal family, we will definitely come over for funerals and stuff like that, because that's a family matter. That's not even anything to do with the monarchy, that is just family at the end of the day. We will put our differences aside for those things. I would respect that. I cannot respect someone who consistently says that they want, but doesn't take any responsibility for the fact that they made a choice. They chose to leave the monarchy. You don't get to fucking have all the titles once you leave. And the thing is, they are not the first people in the monarchy to not get to be referred to as royal highnesses. Princess Diana when she divorced from Charles, because then she became a non-working royal, had her HRH, her Royal Highness, removed. Because you only get that. It's literally 100-year-old's protocol. You can disagree with it, but they're not doing this because, oh, it's racist or because they just dislike them and they're being petty. It is literally protocol. The same shit happened to Diana. She kept her princess, she was allowed to keep that, but she had her Royal Highness removed because she wasn't a working royal anymore. It's not personal, it's protocol. Fucking learn the difference. I will say, I do feel in some ways, again, I can have empathy for people and dislike them. I feel like they're consistently picked apart for the tiniest fucking things. And they are definitely in some situations damned if they do and damned if they don't. If they had refused to go to the flowers and do the royal events in a way that showed respect to the Queen and the country, that if they refused to do that, they would be damned in the public. But they go and people will still damn them for trying to show respect for someone that they badmouthed in the US. In publications and interviews and things like that. So I definitely feel like in some ways they are 100% damned if they do and damned if they don't. I am not undermining that at all. This is what frustrates me. You can disagree with someone but still understand the fucking mindset. A lot has also been made about his morning suit. I'm honestly not even going to get into it because he's been allowed to now wear his military uniform, so can people just shut up now? People are saying that, oh, King Charles, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he went by the Queen's wishes, because Harry walked away from the fucking monarchy and didn't want to be a working royal, in which case you are not allowed to wear your military garment. I appreciate, I don't even understand how that makes sense considering he did actually work in the military for so many years or whatever. But that was the Queen's wishes because that is in the monarchy. King Charles has allowed him now to wear his military garb. You're going to a funeral. What the fuck does it matter if you are wearing a morning suit or a fucking military uniform? Like, get the fuck over it. It is not about you. This is, again, just what frustrates me. It's consistently being made about them. They actually, if this is true, this is gross. They were going to refuse to go to see the flowers unless they had the American press there to film them. If that doesn't say narcissism, I don't fucking know what does. Anyway, that is why I dislike Meghan and Harry. I hope it's been clear that it has nothing to do with race, simply due to the fact that I've seen behaviours that I feel like are toxic. Like I said, I personally just don't like narcissistic people. I feel like every single person has to have a little bit of narcissism to be able to survive at the end of the day, completely. But that level to make every single thing about you and this victim mentality consistently, like literally, the more I hear about Meghan's podcast, the more frustrated I fucking get. Like, sorry, just side note, but she had Serena Williams, wasn't it? On her podcast. It's like, I believe it literally is the first guest. And she spoke about herself for like 50 minutes out of the whole time, literally making every single situation about her and talking about herself and don't you think how well I've done, etc. And I just found that so narcissistic.
Tennis player Serena Williams being featured as her debut guest with Mariah Carey on the roster for next week. Unfortunately for her, it seems that most listeners aren't huge fans of what she released. Professional critics called it an opportunity for her to talk more about herself, saying that Serena Williams barely gets a chance to get a word in.
It reminded me a lot, I mentioned this in my Gabby Trisha video, when Gabby had a conversation with Trisha, a podcast which was cut down to about 3 hours, and the first 55, it literally took 55 minutes of that podcast, so technically probably longer if it was an 8-hour podcast cut down to 3 hours, to even ask how Trisha was. And Trisha did a whole podcast and it took Gabby 53 minutes to even ask how Trisha was. It was as if it was Trisha's podcast and Gabby was the guest.
Free to talk about anything the fuck you want.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just so much. My head has been so discombobulated with
How
stuff.
How are you feeling? Like, what's up with life right now?
Like,
really truly reminded me of the same sort of person. Gabby waiting like an hour to ask even her guest how she is and just trauma dumping the whole time. And then Meghan being conceited and narcissistic, in my personal opinion, for like an hour of her whole podcast, and there being almost no discussion about Serena Williams, considering she is literally one of the biggest female tennis stars ever. Like, she's been number one seed multiple times. There is so much you could discuss and ask her. Literally, a film about their lives with their father came out literally, the year before? And it was all about Meghan. Similarly, in like another podcast, she was interviewing Mariah Carey. And Mariah Carey is known for her diva antics. And Meghan said something along those lines of, oh, you get called a diva sometimes. Mariah turned that round and said, well, yeah, so do you.
The diva thing we can play into. I mean, it's not something that I connect to, but for you, it's been a huge part of your
diva moments sometimes, Meghan.
What kind of
Don't
diva
even
moments
act
do
like,
I give you?
Don't act like you.
Right
It's also the visual. It's the vision. Let's pretend that you weren't so beautiful and didn't have the whole thing and didn't often have gorgeous ensembles. You wouldn't get as much diva stuff. I don't care. I'm like, when I can, I'm going to give you diva.
Meghan took that as an insult, even though she had literally just called her girl crush, as Meghan called it, a diva herself. So you're calling the person you apparently have a girl crush on a diva, which you clearly consider a negative term, because the second that it's used on you, you felt like you had to spend the last 10 minutes of that podcast defending yourself.
Started squirming in my chair in this quiet revolt. Like, wait, what? No, what? Huh? But that, how could you? That's not true. That's not, why would you say that? My mind genuinely was just spinning with what nonsense she must have read or clicked on to make her say that. And I just kept thinking in that moment, was my girl crush coming to a quick demise? Does she actually not see me? So she must have felt my nervous laughter, and you all would have heard it too. And she jumped right in to make sure I was crystal clear. When she said diva, she was talking about the way that I dress, the posture, the clothing, the quote-unquote fabulousness as she sees it.
How people don't see the narcissism. Like, if you are going to support someone, even if they're narcissistic, that is completely up to you. That is your personality type that you will understand. And to people who have that narcissistic trait, I don't personally like people that are so narcissistic they literally can't even accept when they are wrong. Especially in that diva situation with Mariah, Meghan was wrong for that. But anyway, those are just the reasons why I personally don't like Meghan and Harry. Let me know what you think down below. I'd appreciate if you give this a like. I actually I'm going to do a lot more research on it, but I do want to do some discussion as well around Princess Diana and King Charles and Camilla, because there's stuff I only found out about 2 weeks ago that, because I was so young when Diana died, I literally had no idea. I feel like in some situations, that situation is very much been looked at with rose-tinted glasses towards Diana. I'm not saying that she's a terrible person, I'm just saying that I think there's more to the situation than people are allowing for. They've got these rose-tinted glasses for Diana that she could have done no fucking wrong whatsoever, and Charles was 100,000% just in the wrong. I think it takes two people to make a toxic relationship, but definitely not all the time. But if you want to hear my opinions on that, make sure to give this a like, and maybe I'll do that next week. I'll do more research about it though, because I only know so much. But like I said, what I've recently just found out, I can sympathise a little bit more. Not totally, I still don't think cheating's okay. Don't come at me. But yeah, I think there's definitely some stuff to discuss, 100%. So yeah, let me know if you want to see that. And like I said, if you disagree with me, you're welcome to give me a dislike, and you're welcome to let me know why down below. I really genuinely want this to be an open discussion. I don't want this to just be you're wrong because you're racist or you're wrong because of this. Like, let's have a discussion. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye.